Welcome back, barbecue fans. It's another week of your favorite show in the podcast world. It's Wise Guys Podcast Barbecue Fun. And look who's back. Left side is in the house. Can you believe it?
So you have no idea. That's what it felt like. It felt like I got whacked on The Sopranos.
Yeah, where'd you go? I mean,
well, I had a little heart issue that I had to get taken care of, and yeah, it's not a joke.
Yeah.
As far as I didn't have one of those grab your chest heart attacks and fall down on your face, but for all intents and purposes, had a little heart attack, and so they had to go in there and remove about 6 to 8 ounces of brisket out of my heart. Once that was done,
oh boy, well,
just kidding. I mean, listen, I had the procedure done, and I feel great. It's just that it kicks.
So
your
was
ass.
this preventative, or did you actually have a condition?
No, it was a condition, and the first thing it just, long story short, they really didn't know why it happened. Obviously the first time this happened 8 years ago,
right?
I was 350, and not working out, and just boozing and all kinds of crazy stuff. But this time,
boy, we were proud of you back then.
Yeah, God, I loved it. And this time it was kind of like I'd been getting tested because I told you I wanted to get this.
You weren't feeling good,
right?
That was how last time I left you. You were like, and I said, you don't look good. You don't.
And my son that day, day before, the same day you said it, I was at the gym with my son, and he's like, "Dad, you don't look right."
Yeah.
And I was like, I got a little cold,
You're gonna get it today, boy.
Yeah, exactly. And then when you said it, I was like, Jesus, really? I look like shit? Oh, well. But I went home that night, and like 4 a.m, I got woken up with just awful chest pain.
Yeah.
And I, having been through it 8 years ago, I knew what it was, and I was just like called the rescue and got in there fast, got everything taken care of.
Thank God.
No damage to my heart, which is great.
Yes.
So here's my advice to you. Okay, if you ever have something like this happen, don't drag your feet. Don't be stubborn. Don't wait for it to go away. Even if it turns out to be nothing, okay? The smart thing, get to the hospital. And I can't thank Miriam Hospital enough. They were amazing.
Yes.
Everybody from the doctors to the nurses, I can't thank them enough. They were tremendous. Treated me like I was the only guy in the hospital. I mean, it's fantastic.
Yeah, they do a great job for Rhode Island. Absolutely. I
So
love that place.
I'm been resting up, and I'm ready to go. And
actually, you've been getting a little ornery, I think.
You're very ornery.
A little too much rest.
Very ornery.
Good. Well, it's good to have you back. And
happy to be here. You
couldn't come at a better time because, as you saw, the studios are vacant. We're on the move. Awesome. Things are happening. So we're excited, and we're excited to have you back. So we're getting ready to kick off, a big season. Things are going to be moving on in May. That we'll be getting into some competitive events, and looking forward to that. I actually got something sent to me from Bob about something down in Long Island in June, which I want to talk about a little bit later. Seems amazing.
Awesome.
I don't know anything about it because apparently they've been on a 10-year sabbatical, so that was well before us.
Wow,
but
very interesting.
A lot of barbecue coming up, and that's awesome. And going to be a great year. Do you have any specific achievements you want to tackle in 2025?
Got some stuff. And before I even roll into this, I just want to, thank you. I know you would lay down in traffic for me anytime, and everybody that reached out to me, it made a difference, guys. Yeah. And it was humbling, but it was fantastic to hear from everybody that reached out to me. So anyway,
yes,
having had nothing to do, I've been thinking about barbecue all the time and watching, God knows how many barbecue videos and
hours of YouTube.
Yeah, it's just crazy. I'm dreaming about this stuff. But yeah, I told you before, shared with you before, that I've got my own smoker now.
Yeah.
And I'm going to run the gamut on that thing when the weather gets a little better. I'm going to go, brisket, ribs, pulled pork, and we're going to have some fun watching me completely destroy the process.
Yeah.
And I know, coming from your end, you've said, don't start with a brisket, but
well, you're
not the boss of me.
It's not a hard cook.
Yeah.
It's just an expensive meat, right? So you don't want to sit there and eat bad brisket for $200 for a week. But
isn't it bad brisket?
Maybe no, I know it's tough to have a bad brisket. But
I get right
but
down
I'm
to
just saying, a pork shoulder might be a good way to start.
Safer.
Yeah, a little bit safer, a lot cheaper, and it's more forgiving. Right. But
I can't promise anything.
No, go. I can't wait to wait to hear about it. Actually,
we'll get some video on that too.
Yeah. I think you're going to come down and join us for a cook this week too, right?
I can't wait for that. Was that Wednesday with Tommy the Butcher?
Tommy the Butcher, Wednesday morning, yeah.
As long as I get to help out.
Doing pot roast.
Oh,
yeah.
Love pot roast.
Yeah. We have, he has layers and layers of flavor that he likes to, he does there. So, we're looking forward to that. And yeah, we always need help. I mean, he always needs a sous chef. I don't know how much prep goes into this. But he's always like, he gets a little bummed out.
I'm not wearing that French maid outfit, all right, that you put me in last Halloween. Okay,
I'm not wearing it.
See you in those that was a one-time deal.
But no, he between that and technically, because I'm totally behind camera in those events, and I'm running sound. Oh, I just remembered that. I need that for one day. I don't even know what box that's in. Camera, sound, and then I always screw up like taking pictures. I just need, even if it's on an iPhone or on one of our cameras, I just need pictures of what's going on because there's so much going on. And what happens and what's been happening with Tommy, folks, Tommy is an unbelievable barbecue pitmaster. He's not credited anywhere. He won't enter a competition yet, but he's an unbelievable barbecue pitmaster. And at the same time, he's a great cook. But he gets a little nervous when he has to cook to perform. He's never done that before. He only cooks for his family. So now we got him, in front of the camera on YouTube, but he's getting more and more comfortable with it. And if you just let him go and run his gamut, he does a great job. So that's exactly what I try to do. I just try to stay out of his way and just let him go at it.
All right. So you don't want me to heckle him?
No, heckle him is bad. I don't know if I don't think you could. I just know if my wife walks in the room, he's like a cat on the ceiling. He just. Somebody?
For being 5 foot nothing and 100 pounds, she's intimidating. I keep saying that. You guys don't believe me.
Peel Tommy off the ceiling, please. But no, that'll be fun, and we'll get going.
That'll be a blast.
We're gonna have a lot more cooking, I think, coming up, and
So got that planned.
Yep.
I definitely wrote down. Last year I want to try and do at least 3 judges this year.
Okay.
If I can get them in the New England area,
yeah,
I'd like to do at least 3.
Yep.
And help out because I know they're always looking for people.
Yeah.
And I'll definitely do the, the one out at Cranston that we. Which I can never remember the name.
Miller's
Crossing.
Miller's Crossing. Yep. Miller's Crossing.
Definitely do that one again.
Yep. And you got to do a CBA with Matt Piera.
Should do that.
Yeah, because that's cool. That's an actually easy judge. They don't even require judge training for that. You can walk in and judge. You can judge.
Was that a body weight requirement? No, you're 250.
No, because everything's done on the phone, so it's all digitally enhanced.
I remember that.
So really, as far as like the different techniques you have to look for, something not there, and you don't even have to spend. What's this? I couldn't believe. Like if you go and because you've done it, but you sign up and you start at 11, and sometimes you're there till 3 o'clock for all 4 turn-ins. You don't have to. You can go in for 1 turn-in and screw. You could just do one. You know what I mean? If you only have an hour to spend, So that's cool. But that's a.
So they're obviously trying to make it as user friendly for judges as possible.
Yes. So they know that's one of the challenges. Yep.
Because I can see that you don't want to make a 4-hour commitment on a Saturday or a Sunday. Right. That's tough for a lot of people. But okay, I'm in.
So there you go. There's a couple things you can get done, and plus you'll learn the more different sanctioned events you do, you'll learn the cross between them and who's doing what for why KCBYS. Oh, I said that wrong. NEBS and CBA.
Yep.
You can get, and then even the state cook-off you can do. That requires a class, but that's fun too. Mm-hmm. Those guys run all year too. There's like 600 events nationally. For that sanctioned event, but a lot of good stuff. Yeah, a lot of good stuff coming up. I can't wait to get rolling on some of those things. It's just actually kind of I'm like Tommy on the ceiling here, just waiting for things to happen. Like we got another 2 inches, 3 inches of snow last night. That didn't do anything for my smoker sitting in the backyard of our studio. So I got to get that thing out and going. And Tommy's just chomping. He's going to do a pot roast. This week, something he's been dying to do, but he was talking to me about beef bacon. Did you ever hear of such a thing?
I've heard of the Baconator, which is like a
sandwich at Kentucky
well,
Fried
there's
Chicken,
that
Burger King,
Wendy's, yeah, but it's like, and I think I've told you about this. It's like pork center, like either sausage or something, and then you wrap it in thick cut bacon and bake the whole thing. So
like a turducken, like some kind of a
and sausage.
No,
and,
he asked me just today. He said, "Do you ever have beef bacon?" I said, "Look, it was Groundhog Day, not April Fool's. Stop pulling my leg."
Don't tease
He's
me.
like, so he sent me a picture of it, and it's beef bacon, and I'm like, all right, well, this pork belly, so it's going to be a beef
you mean like
belly. I guess
as
it's
opposed to pork bacon, it's beef bacon.
Exactly.
Wow, no,
I guess the belly of the steer, the cow, they're pulling bacon out of it, and never heard of it. So
really,
yeah. So he sent me that, and then he sent me a YouTube on. I know you and I know about this well. I don't think Tommy does that well, but chicharron, the pork belly. So they were making it on a smoker, and then finished it off to get the crackling piece of it in an oven, and it just looked fantastic. And I'm like, he's killing me with all these videos. Like I'm already dying to cook, and I'm like, oh. But even he has another idea where he really wanted to butcher a full chicken, right? Show the correct way to take down the chicken into 4 quarters, and then the quarters to pull out the different white meats and dark meats from each quarter, which I thought was a fabulous idea because everybody likes to see him butcher. He doesn't realize how good of a butcher he is. He just thinks
he takes it for granted.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he's talented.
He's like Johnny Scissorhands over there, and I'm like, I'm like, he did that crown roast, and I'm looking at him, and I'm just amazed. I'm going, oh my God, like this is, and he's just like, oh, this is what you do, and I'm like, okay. But then I said, well, we'll be good with that, Tommy. Is now once you get it down, butcher down the way you want in your quarters, now you can run different cooks with it, right? What do you want to fry for wings? What do you want to cook for breast? What do you want to put in a chicken soup? So that's what we'd like to do. But that's a marathon. That's an all-day event to get that filmed.
He did the spatchcocking of a chicken, right?
Yeah, he did the and the turkey too.
Yeah, the turkey. Yeah, that was really good.
No, that helps a lot on a smoker. It's the only way you can cook a turkey on a smoker, in my opinion. Some people do that chicken, that beer can chicken.
Yep. Which I don't understand. I don't.
Yeah,
I don't get that.
Not for me. So so more cooking. I think we can get more cooking.
Yeah. So what are we talking about? Want to do some judging? Want to do my own cooking so I can catch up to you guys a little bit.
Yep.
Want to?
Not a competition.
I've been. Of course it is. Want to? I've been neglecting my writing, which I really enjoy doing, and I want to get back on that.
Yeah, I think you should
get my get some blogs going up for the for the website.
Well, I think you should investigate this National BBQ Festival.
Yeah, that sounds like a great first thing to me. Get back into the routine again.
Yeah. No, I know.
And I think that if we can, dying to get out there on the road. I know you are too, and if we can get.
So are you still doing your April trip? You had a trip going April with your boys.
Listen, that's been paid for by my son
So you're
for a
doing
long
that.
time.
Yep.
That's a done deal.
Yeah.
I have to go to that.
Okay, good.
Which
No,
I want to. I mean, it's going to be a good time.
Yep. No, you didn't. No, I just didn't know if your plans got.
No. For my plan is to work out hard and get as healthy as possible and go to Myrtle Beach and eat and drink everything inside.
Good.
So,
well, that's how life.
That's my game plan.
That's it. Live hard, work hard, live hard. That's it. Play hard.
So,
So that's great. I want to, and we're gonna pull a safari together too, probably right after that, because once we start getting into the fall months, we're screwed.
Yep.
So I think we should do 2 this first half of the year, and then maybe you do the April, and then maybe we do a May June or May July kind of a thing.
Sure.
Probably pick the hottest place in the United States and go there for the first day of August.
We're here in Death Valley, Arizona.
So this was sent to me by Big Bobby's BBQ. No, I screw it up all the time.
Bob's Backyard Barbecue.
It's BBQ, so it's Bob's Backyard Barbecue. Yeah. So there you go. And Bobby's Backyard Barbecue. Sorry, Bob, did it again. Didn't mean to, but I'm bad like that. But this is the National BBQ Festival, and it's held in Eisenhower Park in Long Island, New York, and Nashua County. and apparently it's been dormant for 10 years. So
Really?
Yeah. But so how does something like that even happen? And
usually things like that don't come back. I mean,
right. And then 10 years ago, we weren't a thing.
No, we weren't in business.
So we wouldn't even known about it. But what's amazing about this is that they have $100,000 purse for 3 days of competition, and it's just
that's going to draw a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like nonstop kind of what's going on there, right? They have.
Do they list the dishes that they want? They want to.
Yeah, they have. Well, they have just about everything. Where am I here? Of course, I'm gonna screw it up. But yeah, they do their regular pork, chicken, brisket, ribs. Then they have whole hog. Then they have a bunch of ancillaries. What are the ancillaries? Double steak, wings, meatballs, pastrami, Long Island iced tea. They're doing an ancillary iced tea. I think we go.
That's a lot of booze in those.
I think we go that day. And then the main is the whole hog, pork ribs, brisket, and chicken.
Whole hog, that's at East Carolina. They put the whole half a hog on that smoker.
When we were down in the Carolinas,
guy had it?
We did run by some competitions that had whole hog, and it was only whole hog. That was it.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen anything like that in New England. So, and I jokingly talked with some people. I was like, "Hey, did you ever do whole hog?" And I was like, "Well, I didn't. I did it when I was in college, but I haven't done it in competition." But join us for 3 unforgettable days at the Eisenhower Park, where the Nationals' top barbecue teams battle for $100,000. Meet legendary live fire pit masters, savor tons of barbecue samples, groove to live music, sip on local beers, and get on all the family-friendly fun. It's the ultimate summer event.
Nice.
June 13th through the 15th in Eisenhower Park in Long Island, New York. So, I think we have to go, and I think, that would be a great thing if you hit up the promoters there and say, "Hey, what's up? What happened 10 years ago? Why haven't you been around?" And we'd love to get you. I don't know, maybe even get them on a podcast if they want to hear it. Yeah,
because we can. Now that we can zoom in with people, remotely.
Yes,
that's awesome. Well, yeah, send me that info.
I sure will. I'll have Bob bring it right over to you.
Love you, Bob.
Yeah,
I don't know what his problem is.
No. Bob's. He keeps me. He's my tether to the competition world of barbecue. He really does.
I know. He's got a great resource.
Yep. He's, I guess, something I learned from Kristen, which Bob never told me. I should ask him about it. But apparently he has like a little text tree with competitors, maybe 15 or 18 different competitors. So every day he's chatting these guys up on a text message. So he's hearing who's doing what and when. And it's instrumental during the season because everybody's on everybody sits down with their calendar and they pick their events for the year. Some folks are doing 25, 30 events. Other people are doing, 4 or 5. But he gets to kind of, manipulate what he's going to do in his events because he does all of them. He does backyards, he does competitions, he does multiple days. So that's how he figures it out. He just stays connected with people, and because he's always talking to them, it's easy for him to pick up the line, get him on the show, or pick up the line and find out what's new. It's kind of cool. Yeah, we had fun last week with Bill Gillespie.
I when that was kind of a surprise because I was in the hospital and didn't get a chance to talk to you about the podcast, and I clicked it on. I was like, whoa,
yeah, no, Bill,
that's a good get.
Bill's in New England, he is the GOAT of barbecue.
Yep.
He's been doing it for a long time. He's great at it. He's him and his wife Sean. They just kill it. But at the same time, he's so mild-mannered. Whenever you go, you go to. Well, you remember you saw him in Memphis in May.
Yeah.
I mean Mansfield in May. But we went by there. He's dying to do Memphis in May, by the way. But we saw him in Mansfield in May, and we walked by, and him and Sean are sitting outside, and they're like lazy boys, drinking some little
like there's nothing going
libation. Like, hey, what's going on? I'm like, I don't know. I saw a guy over there almost hack his arm off because he's a little stressed out. He's like, everything's fine.
Yeah, rookies.
We're enjoying it. So, and he is he's chicken is his turn in. He's the king of chicken. And you heard the little story about his Rhode Island wieners that he did at the Jack and won and pissed off a lot of people, including Bob. That's why I had to talk about that elephant in the room because Bob doesn't like that conversation. But and he doesn't like piss anybody off. But he was like, ripe too. So, anyways,
Awesome. Hey, I meant to ask you other
What's
things
that?
I've been kicking around in my head.
Uh-oh.
What's on your horizon? Like, you've cooked pretty much anything. Is there something that you're looking forward to doing this next coming season that you personally want to cook and try?
No, I don't want to cook, but I do have some great ideas. One, I haven't even talked to you about it yet, but you're included. So I want to get into that a little later on. And another one is probably with our butcher friend. But I want to develop some products. I definitely, I want to continue on the business end of this. I love to cook. I'll continue to cook for families and friends. I'm going to celebrate this entity that we have and continue with the blog and our number one writer, who's dying to come on the show, by the way, Kristen. I told you a little bit about that.
I refused to work with her since that problem we had in Budapest 3 years ago.
I never get over Budapest.
Damn it.
But no, I'll tell you a little bit about that in a minute. But I think my best contribution to this event is continue to mold and develop and move the business plan along. And I think the next thing that we should be looking at doing is opening up some profiles of flavors in the Wise Guy category and Tommy the Butcher category. So I want to sit down and talk with both of you guys independently, two different entities, and I want to get that rolling and see what that will entail. Little tough because unless a good example is Bill. Bill, competitor, kills it. He gets a lot of publicity from it. He has all his own cooking classes. He has cookbooks, and he has his own rubs and his own spices. But that's because he's that cook, right? Tommy, butcher, great piece there. Can build on that, and been talking to him a little bit about that just casually. And then I have a play on Wise Guys that would be great for you and I. So that's something that I want to work on this year. Plus, like I said, celebrate what we've been doing. There's a lot of people out there doing a lot of hard work, and we're growing, and we'll continue to grow. I think we're only maybe 30 weeks into this thing. We're not even a full year yet. So I think as we get over that hump, we'll need to do a celebration for getting over that hump, and then we'll need to do what's next. So, stay tuned for that, folks. That's going to be a lot of fun. I look forward to it.
That's a great idea.
Get my ducks in a row.
Yep.
But I was mentioning to you about Kristen. So, I had, when Johnny Z was on, I made mention about her writing, and she's on, she took I don't want to say a full-time commitment because this is not a full-time entity, but she took on a full-time role with her article. So she's dedicated to the news blog to do one article every week, and she's structured to do that, and she just kills it every week. I get a superb article from her, pictures, really easy to put up. Yeah.
Yep.
So I mentioned it, and she was all gaga that I gave her that compliment, and I was like, "What are you talking about? You kill it. Why wouldn't you think it's well deserved? Because it is." And the thing she really enjoyed writing about was that Tampa Bay BBQ Festival that she went to. And she wrote a 2-part series on that, and she was blown away. And half of it was just being at the competition,
Sure.
right? So just going, we went and walked around in the mud in the rain, and rent them. But she went down Tampa Bay, and she had a great time. So I said, you know what? So what was fun about it? The second article, Shannon had put up some publicity in our social media pages. And Kristen had forwarded it to the competitors that were out at the competition. So they were all, bouncing her back like this is a really cool group. They're a heavy Irish family. So they had, you could hear their Baroque and reading their messages back to her. And in the process, she's sitting there and they're like, oh, look, little old us being talked about in Rhode Island. They're all like gaga over it. So I was like, well, this really ripples out. It's kind of cool. Yeah. So I told Kristen, I said, you should come on the show. We'd love to hear about that event because I know nothing about it, and I'm sure there's other listeners that don't know about it, and would like to hear about it. And I don't know, maybe you read it on the blog, but even what's better than hear it from Kristen? So
No, that'd be great. Love to do a show with her.
Yeah, and we'll just have to forget about Budapest and get it behind us.
I'm over it, Chris. I'm over it.
So yeah. So I don't know. Did you have any other questions that?
Well, and again, my question was more. I mean, you got off on great stuff. That's fine. My question is like you personally, and I know you're not going to do any competitive cooking, and I get that. I like to break your ass about it all the time, but that's just me. But anything you'd like to cook personally that you'd like to try and cook or experiment with on your own smoker, on your own grill.
Yeah.
Anything that's caught your fancy that you want to try this season and let me eat.
Well, there are definitely some. I've been looking at these. I call them gimmicks. These monster cooks, right? They take like a whole back end of a cow and they get it on a smoker for some 21 hours and they create some great stuff. There is something like that I want to try. I want to try something stupid. And then besides something stupid, what I do want to get better at is I want to get better at my ribs. I want to really sit down and, I'm even thinking about, Bill has some classes coming up. I'm thinking about maybe going to take a class on his ribs because it would be nice to just learn it from somebody because that's how he started. He started 10 years ago. He took a class. He went out. He started doing a couple things. He was doing it terribly quickly, revamped a couple things. And like 2 years after that, it was just spot on. So I'd like to just learn a little bit more. When you're working with Tommy, you really work that, he really has, it's funny, I look at cooking as a process to eating, right? So, let's go cook. Sit down and eat, right? Tommy doesn't really do that. Tommy sits down and it's about its flavor profile. There's a certain flavor he wants out of the dish he's making, and he has that flavor profile. And in that profile, he likes to layer in the flavors to get to that profile. So it's really interesting.
That is interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah, I was actually doing my
so he looks to hit that flavor profile. And that's the satisfaction for him.
We were talking about pot roast, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, me, pot roast in the slow cooker, 5-6 hours later, done, right? Yep. Nope, Tommy can't do that. Tommy has to do it in a layered profile in a Dutch oven, cook it on the stove, and then in the oven, and there's a full process to it. So I'm excited to see what that is, but it goes into the layering of profiles, and I'm learning. So now I look at like when I pull out a recipe. So I just did this. So Sonny wants to have wings for the Super Bowl. So he's like, okay, I don't care if you make them. I don't care if we buy them. I'm dying for wings right now. Now he just had a little procedure himself. I'm like, yeah, okay.
It's my partner in crime.
So
keeping the medical industry going. Me and Santino.
So in the process, I went and looked up some recipes, and then I'm looking at this recipe. I'm like, wow. So I'm not looking at it like, oh, okay, that's how you do it. That's how you get it done. Oh, that's going to taste great. I look at it like, that's how, they make that flavor profile. So they're talking about like the flavor on the wings. And it's basically Frank's hot sauce, ketchup, salt, pepper, but butter.
Yes.
But here's the thing. And I would make this mistake all the time. All right, you got to melt the butter, right? So you turn it on high, you get it nice and hot, you melt the butter. And no, you can't do that. Because if you put it on high and make it boil, you're now burning the butter, so the butter has a different taste into the profile rather than slowly dissolving it and cooking it and bringing it up to temperature slowly. And like that's something Tommy would know and Tommy would do and practice, and I didn't know until I heard that, and I'm like, well, that makes all the difference in the world. Before it's like, yeah, in the pot, boiled, done, next level, So I would like to try that with some ribs. I would like to sit down and just really go slow. Not because I'm going to compete in ribs someday, just because I want to enjoy that part of the cook, So, yeah, I'll work on some of those things, and I'll definitely have you over when I cook them.
That's what I want to hear.
Especially if I do a back end of a
the
cow.
part I want to hear. Yep.
Yep. So that's cool.
Awesome. So how far out are you on your moving the studios project? And,
we're right there. We moved in last Wednesday. We've been there so just under a week. You would have loved. So here I'll give you a visual. I'll give everybody a visual. So you move in and there's a custom to moving because it's not about moving in. It's about moving to. It's the journey to get to the move. It's not the arrival, right? For me, you move in, you open the door, you move in. No, there's a journey. So in the customs of my wife's
I knew it was going to come
lineage, the travel can be extensive, right? It could be, because think about it, if you're on foot or you're on, it could be days, it could be weeks, and it's the travel that you endure. So when you do the travel, when you arrive, you have to arrive on a certain time. There's a lucky or a blessed time to arrive. So it happened to be with it goes on lunar cycle. So it was the 29th between 1 p.m. and 3 p.m. It was okay to move in. So that's what we did. Okay. So what's move-in now, right? You just open the door and walk in, right? No, you got to end your journey. So here comes Vinny, bag of rice, golden tray of like 8 different Buddhas, right? Who's lying, who's sitting, who's doing backflips, and you walk around the house. That alone's a project, and carrying these things into every room. And my wife now is on the phone. She's got 2 candles burning. The phone's on because it's her sister in California who knows the chants in the language, which is not Lao, that needs to be said in each room. And she's throwing, she has these little red envelopes, Chinese pictures on them, and it's filled with money, different money, Laotian money, baht, I think it's called baht.
Correct.
Chinese money and U.S. money, and she's throwing them everywhere, every room, like almost every corner. I'm like, what are you doing? He goes, this is to please the ghosts in the house. And as you look and you see money, if you see money, you'll always be reminded of money and you'll always have money. So when you go to my house this week, don't take the red envelopes.
Don't take them. I was already planning that. I'm like, I'm going to get over there this week. I'm going to pick up a couple of those envelopes. With my luck, I'll get the bot, though, and I won't be able to cash it.
But that bag of rice isn't light, man.
Would you get the big 45-pound bag?
I think it was 25 pounds. But I'm like, and I'm walking around, and I'm like, all right, I get it. It's a custom. And I didn't do that when I moved into this house.
Well, that's what happened.
That. Yeah, I didn't know the custom. I really didn't. She did it with her family. So it was new to me, and it was pleasurable. But anyways, that's done. That's over with. The studios are complete. We got a little bit of electrical work to get done. This will be the last episode that we record in this studio. Next week, we should be in a place where we are recording in the new studio. What it'll look like, how it'll affect us, I don't know. There's going to be a total of 3 studios in that room that's being built. One will be ready and it'll look just like this. The other 2 will probably another 4 weeks out and another 4 weeks after that. But the good news is the kitchen studio is set up, and that's where we're going to be Wednesday. Awesome. And the outside smoking and grilling studio is set up minus 3 inches of snow on the ground. So, there you go. So we're moving along, and we'll get there, and it's going to be fun. And it's also it lends itself to easy invitations of people coming over to be on the podcast, to come in and cook. I want to get some of everybody I talk to, either be a competitor or be a restaurant chef, has been more than happy to come back and cook with us, for us. And I just haven't done it just because I didn't feel adequate in the space we had before. Now I do. So, yeah, that's coming along, and it's right now. It's starting right now. This is the last one here, and we'll start next week over there. And there you go. I'm dying for you to see it on Wednesday.
Oh, I'm glad I was here to close the deal here.
Yeah.
It's been special being here, and it's been just an awesome experience. And
yeah, I wouldn't have done it without you. Even if we were there, like if you couldn't come out for a couple more weeks, I would have did it there, but I would have did it like this, right? We still would have been here and then have big,
the magic of TV.
They still have those clowns. What are those clowns? Not Bozo, but there was another. There was another clown that would. I'm
terrified of clowns, so don't ask me about clowns.
I think we should have a clown on the show next week, kind of our opening segment. But I don't know, maybe not. But it will be fun, and
can't wait.
Yeah,
can't wait. So excited, and you have held down the fort. I'm sure we never planned on me being away for 6 weeks.
Yep.
And, you've done a great job, and I've been watching every week. And the guys, Bob, Johnny Z,
Tommy
the butcher, you guys have all done fantastic. And you guys haven't skipped a beat. And I'm really proud of you guys and just glad to be back in the fold.
Yeah, no, we're back. We're glad you're back in the fold as well. And it's inevitable, and it's going to be times where I'm not going to be here, and we're going to, that's the design for the. So this studio, it's up, it's down, who knows where it is, but next one will be a little more cookie cutter. So if you have to do one of these without me, it's doable because I have some travel plans. God, when is it? In July of next year. So I know I won't be around. So unless we back some up or have you just take the helm, we can get James in there to run the technical stuff, or Johnny Z to run the technical stuff, and you get, you'll have full run of the podcast studios, and we'll go from there.
Whatever works, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, it's simple. It's evolution.
Yep. Evolution.
All right. Well, happy to have you back. Thanks for being back.
God, man.
And just keep doing all the right stuff. I know your brother Greg was a big help through all this, as well as your boys.
Greg went above and beyond. He's he lives in New Haven, and he was literally like driving up here and hanging out with me. And because you go through a procedure like this, you literally you can't do anything. They don't want you lifting anything more than a can of soup. They don't want you walking around. They basically just want you on your ass for however long they say.
And you're taking care of your mom.
Mom is 87, so she's not much help to get me up and out.
She's a little heavier than a can of soup. So
the boys Zach and James did a fantastic. Like I said, my whole family, everybody, they really did a fantastic job. Vin Giordano, thank you for the soup, brother.
There you go. Good. So I'm glad you're on the mend, moving forward, and we'll all do the same thing. We'll wish you guys a happy weekend. Go out and eat some barbecue. Go out and make some barbecue, and we'll catch you next week.
Keep it going, folks.
Peace.
Adios.